welcome back to my channel. Happy Paddy's Day weekend. I googled Paddy's Day history and traditions and I took them down on my laptop. So if you can hear something, it's my laptop because the fans are always on this because the laptop is terrible. I'm getting a new one in a few weeks, so I can't wait to get that. But anyway, I googled like facts and traditions about Paddy's Day. I'm going to read them out and say whether in my experience I think they're true or not. I just thought it'd be a fun video to film. I have my green on and I also have, I don't know if you can see that, green earrings. So I'm dressed up for the occasion. Now, first thing I want to say, right, it's either St. Patrick's Day or Paddy's Day. It's not Patty with a T, okay? Just don't call it that. It's annoying to any Irish people. Don't do it. I'm looking at you, Americans. I'll start off with the information that I found on Kids National Geographic. Now this is the American website. It's obviously aimed at American kids. The first fact is Patrick was born in Britain in the 4th century and didn't arrive in Ireland until he was 16 years old when he was sent to work in the country. Now, when we were in primary school, which is like from when you're 5 to 12, we learned about obviously St. Patrick because he's the patron saint of Ireland. He lived in Wales and he wasn't sent to work in Ireland. He was actually kidnapped and used as a slave to look after sheep. I think they've kind of made that kid friendly, but as kids we learned he was kidnapped because that's apparently the story. The next fact says you'll often see the 4-leaf clover on St. Patrick's Day. However, according to legend, Patrick used a 3-leaf clover or shamrock as part of his teachings. We would call them shamrocks. If you're looking for like an Irish symbol, it's a shamrock with 3 leaves, not a 4-leaf clover. And he used a shamrock to teach Irish people about Christianity because it has 3 leaves. So you have like the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit. That's the way you bless yourself. The next fact, another legend says that St. Patrick chased all the snakes out of Ireland. The problem? ? These creatures never actually lived in the country. So that's true, there probably never was snakes in Ireland. But we were taught that as kids that he chased the snakes out of Ireland, and then later on when you're older, the teachers would explain to you that the snakes were actually used to represent paganism because he came over to teach Christianity to Ireland that was majority pagan at the time. It's funny actually because now if like someone's being real sneaky and going behind your back and stuff, you'd call them a snake. So I don't know, did that come from the story of St. Patrick as well? Now the next one, I have literally never heard this before in my life. It's obviously an American thing. So it says another tradition includes many people in the United States eating corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day. I would never eat that on St. Patrick's Day, ever. Apparently it comes from Irish immigrants who lived in Manhattan in the 1800s, and they were like very, very poor because they moved over because of the famine. Corned beef was a real cheap meat and you can just boil it and you throw cabbage in it. But when I was little and like as I've grown up, St. Patrick's Day, it's kind of like a treat yourself day. So when I was little I probably got McDonald's and stuff and got treats. You wouldn't be cooking on St. Patrick's Day. Then the last fact that was on the National Geographic website was people gathered to watch parades of traditional Irish dancers and musicians as they marched through city streets. That's true. So parades, I was looking online and the first Paddy's Day parade wasn't actually in Ireland. I couldn't find a definite answer on this. It was either in New York or Florida in the 17 or 1800s. The first one here in Ireland was actually in Waterford in 1903. And that was kind of just like locals coming together saying, oh look, we'll do a parade. The first official state organised parade took place in Dublin in 1931. And then ever since then, there's a parade in Dublin and all big cities in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day. The next website I went onto was Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia isn't like a reliable source, but honestly it's just handy. It has all the information there. All the other websites were like tips on what to do on Paddy's Day or absolute lies, so I wasn't going to use them. I say absolute lies, and then I'm going to reference Wikipedia now. So there's a bit of irony there. So apparently, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated in more countries than any other national holiday. So, like, I don't know, Australia Day, Independence Day in America, Independence Day in other countries. St. Patrick's Day is the most celebrated worldwide, which is pretty cool. A few places that celebrate it are the UK, Malta, Russia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Japan, Canada, USA, obviously, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, and Montserrat, which is nicknamed the Emerald Isle of the Caribbean because there was so many Irish immigrants that moved over there. And Montserrat is one of 3 countries where St. Patrick's Day is a public holiday. So obviously it's a public holiday in Ireland, it's a public holiday in Montserrat, and it's also a public holiday in Newfoundland, which I assume is also because it's a big Irish population that live over there. Wikipedia also says Christians may also attend church services, and the Lenten restrictions on drinking and eating doesn't count on St. Patrick's Day. And Wikipedia says the lifting of Lent restrictions about alcohol might have caused alcohol to be an integral part of Paddy's Day celebrations. Or it could just be because Irish people are big, massive alcoholics. The next thing Wikipedia says is there's a tradition called drowning the shamrock. I've never heard of it. I've never seen anyone do it. Maybe I've been too drunk to notice. So basically at the end of your Paddy's Day celebrations, a shamrock is put into the end of a pint glass. It's filled with whiskey, beer or cider. And then you drink it as like a toast to St. Patrick or to Irish people. Now, I wouldn't be against doing that, but I probably wouldn't get a shamrock out of my garden because I have a dog and that's his bathroom. In 1903, Paddy's Day became an official public holiday in Ireland. It was introduced by someone called James O'Mara, and a few years later he brought in a law that said public houses or pubs had to be shut on Paddy's Day. Probably because the drinking got a bit out of hand because everyone had the day off. And this wasn't repealed until 1970. And then also following on from that, in 1927, Irish Free State government banned the sale of alcohol on Paddy's Day. And they didn't get rid of this law until 1961. The Paddy's Day parade has only ever been cancelled 3 times. The first time was in 2001, and that was because the foot and mouth disease came to Ireland. They didn't actually cancel it, they just moved it to May instead. And the 2 other years were last year 2020 and this year 2021. But they will have like a virtual parade if anyone wanted to look it up. So my memories of Paddy's Day, when I was little, I always remember my dad bringing me and my cousins and my brother into town, so Dublin City, on Paddy's Day to watch the parade. I remember sitting on the shoulders and stuff to see it. They have floats and stuff. Bands come out from all over the world to march in the parade. They'd have like people dressed up and they have different themes every year. Every year in school you'd make some art to do with Paddy's Day. I don't know, did we used to make this every year? But I feel like we did. We used to make shamrocks with like dangly legs. You'd learn the story about St. Patrick again, even though you learn it for about 8 years straight. And then when we got older, we used to do ceilidhs, which are, they're just dances basically. So you have dances like the Walls of Limerick, the Siege of Venice, I think. There's another one called Shoot the Donkey, and we used to think it was hilarious to say shoot the donkey instead. We used to do ceilidhs from ages like 8 to 12, and I went to a mixed primary school, so a girl goes with a boy because you have to partner up. No one wanted to hold hands because it's like that stage, like, ew, girls are disgusting, boys are disgusting. So you'd be like holding your partner's hand, like barely touching their fingers. It was good crack. Now that I'm older, Paddy's Day, normally when you can do stuff, Sometimes me and my friends would go into town and watch the parade in there, or sometimes we might stay in the town we live. And then afterwards, we go to a pub and get some food and have some drinks and then just drink for the rest of the day. So, yeah, unfortunately, this year, Paddy's Day has been cancelled again. And I'd say Paddy's Day is probably my favourite holiday day of the year. I'm sad we can't do normal stuff. Hopefully next year. I swear to God, Mihal and Leo, if I can't have a normal Paddy's Day next year, I will go to Leinster House and set the place on fire. Hope you enjoyed. It's a little bit of a different video. I hope you all have nice Paddy's Days wherever you live. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well. If you enjoyed my videos and you know someone who you think might enjoy them as well, I'd really appreciate if you could send them on to them, just to help more people be aware of my channel. So thanks again for the support, and I'll see you next time.